Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. We're going to get right into it today because I have a horrific story. It happened over the weekend, a couple of days ago. Somebody tried to steal my truck, but that's not the worst of it. So let me lay it out for you guys what happened. It was on Sunday after the holiday. I'm sitting upstairs and I'm editing and uploading, which is what I primarily do all the time. So I get a notification on one of my cameras that there's some activity. And you know, I always check. My wife gets on me all the time, always checking that camera. But I do. I always check it. So I get this notification. I pull up the camera on my phone, and there is somebody standing in front of my truck, on the side of my truck, on this side, the driver's side. And I'm like, that's odd. So I look for a second, you know, just to see if I might recognize this person. And I don't. I have no idea who it is. And then I see them kind of reach around, and their back was to me, and they were kind of covering the door a little bit. But they kind of reach around with their right hand, I think their right hand, and try the door handle. And now I'm panicking. I'm like, are you kidding me? What the heck? This is broad daylight on a Sunday out in front of my house. It's not even like it's hidden or anything, right? So immediately I jump up. I have this little globe light thing that sits on this stand beside me. I'm freaking out so bad. I go to jump up out of the recliner and I hit it with my hand, knock it on the floor. My wife hears it. So I'm running down the stairs. And we have a gate in front of the stairway to keep the dog from going up and down. He's like 420 years old, and it hurts his back. So I'm running down the stairs. I got to jump over the gate, which I did successfully. I didn't fall or trip over it, but it slowed me down. So I'm running towards the garage, and I hear the wife say, "What's going on?" Well, I don't answer. I don't respond because the first thing I'm thinking is, what the heck is going on, you know? So I open the garage door, I hit the garage door button, and I have to wait a little bit for the garage door to go up. So it gets about halfway up, and I go under, you know, do one of these things when you're in a hurry to get underneath the garage door, right? I step out there, the guy's not in front of my truck anymore, he's gone. But I look up the road, and he's walking up the street, actually about halfway up my neighbor's driveway. Now, my neighbor's driveway kind of goes up and curves around their house a little bit. So it's like a side load garage or something. So I start to think, well, maybe I didn't see it right. Maybe he didn't try the door. Maybe he was just looking in the truck. Maybe it's somebody who's aware of the channel and they just were peeking inside. I don't know. Who knows? Or maybe the neighbor's got a relative over. I mean, it is a holiday weekend. Maybe they've got a relative over or something, a friend, whatever, I don't know. So I don't want to go chasing down the guy and yelling and screaming, and it would have been a chase. I was a decent distance away by then. So I don't really think much more of it, right? But I did call my neighbor, and I told him, I said, hey, I think somebody just tried to break into my truck, and they headed towards your house. And I asked him, you know, I don't know, I said, I don't know if you have anybody there or whatever. He says, no, we don't have anybody there. And they weren't home. So he thanks me for telling him whatever. And I think, well, who knows? You know, I don't know. I kind of forget about it. Now, the bad part, and this is really bad. About 3 hours later, the neighbor comes home and calls me and says that, or actually, I got a text before that. They had just gotten home or something and said they didn't see any damage. They must have just pulled in or something. A few minutes later, I get a phone call. And it's my neighbor telling me that they did break into the house. Somebody broke into their house. Well, you know it has to be this same person, right? I mean, how coincidental would it be if I had that happen and then somebody else came and broke into their house within 3 hours of each event, right? So it had to be the same person. So I go outside. They say they're calling the police, asked if I'd give a statement because I saw via the camera this person, right? I said, sure. So I go outside, and the whole family is standing outside. It's dark out now, by the way. But the whole family is standing outside, and I'm like, well, I think that's kind of odd. Why is everybody standing outside, you know? So he tells me that the person that broke into the house is still in the house. He had been in there for 3 hours. He was asleep. Who knows what the mental situation was or substance situation was? You can only guess, right? So we're all standing outside. The perpetrator, we'll call them the perp, is in the house sleeping. So the police are on their way. They come, they show up about, I don't know how long it was. It's hard to gauge time at that point, but I think about 10 minutes later, something like that maybe. 3 cars show up. And a few minutes later, sure enough, here comes the police walking this guy out of the house in handcuffs. So I'm thinking, man, you know, what really happened with my truck? You know, bad enough what happened with their house. I mean, if they hadn't have realized he was in there sleeping, they might have gone in themselves and gone to bed. It was starting to get later. They wouldn't have even known he was in the house. So that was the bad part, right? But then I'm thinking about my truck after that, and thank goodness they were okay. There wasn't that much damage or anything, and nothing was stolen because the guy never left. So that's all good. But I'm thinking to myself, well, what really happened with my truck? I mean, was he trying to steal it? I mean, there was either 3 things that could have been happening. One, he was just trying to break in to see if there was anything in there to take. Although I don't keep anything in my truck. So if you just look in the window, there's nothing in here to steal. I mean, maybe he thought he'd get lucky and I had like $1 million stuck in the center console that he couldn't see. I don't know, which I do not, by the way. But I don't keep anything in here. So what a waste that would have been. 2, he was looking for a place to sleep because he had who knows what going on. And he was going to crawl in my truck and go to sleep. Boy, that would have been a surprise for me had I come out and not realized, opened the door and somebody's in here. My windows are tinted, right? And when the sun shines on them from the right direction, or in this case, the wrong direction, I can't see in the truck unless I really focus and get up close to it. 3, he was trying to steal my truck. If he'd have gotten inside, he would have busted the column, done that little number, you know, hot wire, and I don't know, whatever you do. I don't even know if you can steal a modern vehicle. I think you can still. You break the column or whatever it is, and once you hot wire it, you just take off with the ignition, right? I don't know. So, man, what a day that turned out to be. From about 3 o'clock on, somebody trying to steal my truck and then ultimately breaking into my neighbor's house and still there when they came home. Can you imagine how terrifying that must have been for them? You know, I thought it was bad that somebody was trying to break into my truck, let alone having somebody break in and still be in your house when you get home. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it is Tacoma related. As far as I know, this cat was trying to steal my truck, especially given what happened after that. Leave a comment. Let me know. I'm curious. Anybody out there ever had or know anybody that's had the Toyota Tacoma stolen? How easy is it to do? I'm just curious. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. RobMotive Project Cars, all about the Mercedes-Benz, and RobMotive JT, all about the Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? And while you're at it, smash the subscribe button here too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.